This is called the alkaline diet, an evidence-based review. Evidence, huh? That's interesting that this guy says that. Who's this by? Joe Leach, MS. Oh, MS. So he starts off pretty good. An alkaline diet seems a bit too good to be true. Proponents of this diet suggest that replacing acid-forming foods with alkaline-forming foods can improve the health, which is spot on. Spot on, right? And that aligns with other universities who have learned this. They even claim that it can help fight serious diseases like cancer. See, right there, this individual loses reality because he buys into this whole concept of the illusion called diseases. There are actually quite a few people who swear by this diet and claim miraculous results. By the tens of thousands, Joe. By the tens of thousands, buddy. But there is any good evidence behind the alkaline diet? Let's have a good look. So, first of all, we're going to examine what he thinks is evidence that contradicts that. So we're going to contradict him. But, I've always said this. We can argue chemistry and physics and all this. But let's get down to the real reality of everything. Applied theories. Let's see your theory in application. And when we're done with this, you'll see that everybody already is living his theory. You can claim and you can use intellectualism and you can talk about what we know in chemistry as facts or what you think you know about physiology, which most of them don't, and then we can argue those. But in the final analysis, in your application of your theory, demonstrate to me how people get to Wellville, how you regenerate, how do you get rid of diseases. Of course you can't, because diseases are uncurable if you live in that world of unconsciousness. And it has nothing to do with chemistry. Diseases have nothing to do with chemistry. Diseases have nothing to do with physics. Diseases have what do they have anything to do with anyway? Do anybody know? Oh, they've got a medical doctor's name on them. Yeah, and what is the alkaline diet? The alkaline diet is also known as the acid alkaline diet or alkaline ash diet. It is based around the idea that the food you eat can alter the acidity or alkalinity, the pH of your body. Now he's right there. He's right there. All right, but you'll see where he loses this. When you burn foods, they actually leave an ash residue. So when you break down your foods, basically you have an ash from this, which is your nutrients, basically. And those nutrients are either predominantly on the alkaline forming side or the acid forming side. All right? All right. As it turns out, this ash can be acidic or alkaline or neutral. Yep. And he's right so far. Right on. Proponents of this diet claim that this ash can directly affect the acidity of your body. All right? Now, if you eat foods with acid ash, it makes your body acidic. Alkaline ash is considered protective. In other words, acid ash is corrosive and alkaline ash is protective. By choosing more alkaline foods, you should be able to alkalize your diet and improve health. Right? Food components that leave an acid ash include protein, phosphate, and sulfur. While alkaline components include calcium, magnesium, and potassium. Yeah, your electrolytes. Right? Certain food groups are considered acid, alkaline, or neutral. Acid are your meat, your poultry, your fish, your dairy, your eggs, your grains, and your alcohol. Alkaline is your fruits, your nuts. No, nuts are acidic forming. Sorry, legumes are acidic forming. Thank you. And vegetables. All right. Now, regular pH levels in the body. All right. So, when talking about the alkaline diet, it's important to understand the meaning of the pH value. Remember, pH is potential for hydrogen. Hydrogen is the universal element. So, and you never see hydrogen by itself, ever. Comes in pairs. You always see it linked together, like H2O. But I can steal that hydrogen away, make it a deficit, and make a hydroxide out of the oxygen side, and then I can make a hydrogen element out of the other side. Hydrogen is acidic. It is the universal acidic principle that is found almost in everything. Many proponents of this diet suggest that people monitor the pH of their urine using test strips, making sure that it is alkaline, pH over 7, and not acidic below 7. Now, if there's people doing that, that's a mistake. We look for acid urine. The problem is people have alkaline urine, and you don't want alkaline urine. Why? Because he's not considering the metabolites of the chemistry that you're ingesting. All right? So let's look at this, because here's where their problem is. Let me see. However, it is important to note that the pH value varies greatly within the body. Some parts are acidic, others are alkaline, and this is very, very true. Your pH is also always in a state of flux, because of everything is always in a state of flux. The stomach is loaded with hydrochloric acid, giving it a pH value between 2 and 3.5. Highly acidic, very much so. And remember our discussion when the stomach chyme moves into the duodenal area, something's got to pull that stomach acidity way up to about 7.5. When you feel arthritis and stuff, that's your 3 pH. All right? All right. Food affects the pH of your urine, but not your blood. How interesting he makes that claim. How? By the way, he needs to define himself, right? Okay. So, it is critical for health that the pH of your blood remain consistent, and this is a big fact. And this is important for you guys to know, and what he needs to know, all right? It is where to fall outside of the normal range, your cells would stop working. Yeah, we get that. Your death, in other words. The fact is, food simply cannot change your blood pH, period. Okay? So let's stop a minute and think about that. You're eating acid ash forming food. So the predominant side of chemistry that you've developed in your digestive tract is acidic. Now this acids are absorbed interstitially and absorbed to the villi, into the capillaries, and some into the lymph system. We don't know quite all that's moved into the lymph system. We know the lipids are, and not into the blood. So we know some things about that sort of thing. But when you absorb these acid principles, they're going to absorb into your blood, right? So that directly affects blood pH. It can't, but it does. So now, how does the body correct that pH? They think bicarbonate is the only alkalizing element of the body. And what a lot of people don't understand, practitioners, particularly medical, is that you have to get with some of these studies these universities have done if you can't think on your own. When you have a patient coming in and you see spider veins, varicose veins, bruising easy, where do you think that comes from? You already know it's a loss of connective tissue. All right? So what in the world would do this? What in the world would affect the connective tissue? What about the connective tissue would the body want? You've got phosphorus, you've got more acid elements, sulfurs and everything. Oh, more cruciferous. You have a lot more sulfur to go into the blood. Thank you very much. So you get all these acid elements into the blood, but you can't change blood pH. Oh, but you can change blood pH. But you can't. So now what does your body have to do to correct this pH? Put the bicarbonate to the side because there's not enough evidence to show that. And there's plenty of evidence by universities, famous universities, to show that you have a calcium buffering system. And that's what you see. If you live in some surreal world way, okay, I don't care. But we live in facts here on this planet, and I have to tell you that when you see varicose veins or spider veins, what weakened the vascular wall? The loss of calcium. Why? Acidosis. So it's enough to say that, don't say that acids don't hit the blood. They do hit the blood. It's the blood now that has to rectify that. And that's why you see all these things happening with the vascular walls, aneurysms, all these things like that. And another proof of that? You want more proof of that, Mr. Joe? How about chemotherapy and a subclavian port right into the aorta? How many aortic aneurysms happen from this procedure? That's from acids going right into the aorta. And guess what the aorta's got to do? Suck its calcium right out of its connective tissue until you aneurysm. It's insane here. Now, the urine should be acidic, and we all know why, especially if you're filtering. If you're not filtering, the urine can get alkaline. We don't want alkaline urine. No, you want acid urine. No, these are metabolites. He hasn't even got to metabolites yet. That's metabolitic waste from the cells. This is just what you're eating getting into you. Now, how about the residues on the bowel wall? Since they're acidic, you get a blowback on the bowel wall, right? Plus, you also get a viscous, gluey substance called gluten. So all these things create impactions in the bowel wall, agglomulation. What happens under the acid sky? Agglomulation. What happens to your blood cells when you eat enzymatic dead food? Your blood cells start sticking to each other. You move that pH just a little bit, and now you have blood cells sticking. They follow each other like choo-choo trains, or you start little clusters, and that is not what you want. You cannot eat acid ash-forming foods for whatever reason, because the ash will beat your tissues up and mucosa up, creates mucus from the mucosa. It just has a resounding effect all through your body. Eat a large steak and several hours later your urine will be more acidic as the body moves it from your system. You want that. But that's saying that that metabolizes into acids. Absolutely. But if you're not filtering, it won't change your urine pH much. That being said, urine pH is actually a very poor indicator of overall body pH. Yeah, I disagree a little bit with that, because when your urine is alkaline, what does that tell you? You're not filtering your metabolites, metabolitic waste out of the body. Okay? Now, therefore, even if you're using test strips and seeing that your urine has become alkaline, this has very little, if any, relevance in the alkalinity of your blood. Well, I agree with that. Your lymph system is not your blood system, and the kidneys are not about your blood system. The kidneys is about your lymph system. All right, acid-forming foods do not cause osteoporosis. Now get this, and this is where this guy is way off, way off. Because you have to realize the metabolites and the metabolitic waste from these type of foods as well. There is absorption. Hopefully you don't have a lot when you're eating acid-forming foods. But you've got these principles. Just because the blood stole a little calcium to bring its pH up, and maybe used a little bicarbonate, that doesn't change the fact that the nature of the chemistry, the nature, to put it this way, when you're looking at acid ash-forming foods, you're looking at nitrogen-rich elements. When you're looking at alkaline-rich foods, you're looking at carbon-rich elements. And carbon is where we get our energy, not fermentation, carbon. And that's how you get your adenosines and all this other stuff, So, interesting. Osteoporosis is a progressive, I love this guy. When he starts getting into this, then he starts really showing himself. Osteoporosis is a progressive bone disease characterized by a decrease in bone mineral content. Why, Joe? Disease? There's no such thing. So, Joe, flip the disease to the side and explain to us all how you lose bone matrix. Disease, get rid of that, because you're just riding on a surfboard to nowhere. So, how do you lose bone matrix? Calcium or phosphorus? Chemistry. Chemistry. And the chemistry you ingest has everything to do with your health. And if you don't believe that, you're living in a world far, far, far away. Forgive me, guys, but enough of this stuff is ridiculous. These people are crazy. Many alkaline diet enthusiasts believe that in order to maintain a constant blood pH, the body takes alkaline minerals such as calcium from your bones to buffer the acids from the acid-forming foods you eat. My dear one, Joe, this has been proven by famous universities around the world. So you're wrong. There is a calcium buffering system, and when you understand that, it then explains why you have osteoporosis, why you have these things, instead of living in fairyland far away and not getting reality at this level. All right? According to this theory, acid-forming foods such as standard Western diet will cause a loss in bone mineral density, and it does, proven. Matter of fact, my dear man, you're not following your studies well. Matter of fact, they proved that consumption of pasteurized milk creates bone loss. Calcium loss in bones. This theory is known as the acid ash hypothesis of osteoporosis. Sorry, buddy, you're not keeping up with your studies. The glaring problem with this theory is that the function of the kidneys is completely ignored. No, I don't think you understand the completely function of the kidneys. Our kidneys are functional to remove acids. Oh, now you're on it. Acids and regulate body pH. What if, and it is not to regulate body pH, but what if you weren't filtering these acids from your lymph system? Now you got to remember, he's talking about blood acids. He's not talking about systemic acids here. He's talking about blood acids because they don't understand the lymphatic system. He's on top of it a little bit, but he doesn't understand the fullness of what he's saying here and the fullness of how important the kidneys are with the lymphatic system. That's their big miss. But they also miss biochemistry and stuff like this. This person misses these university studies showing calcium buffering system, and there's a cholesterol buffering system, which is more of the lymph system itself. If you want to go up against someone like this, then you do it with theories. All right? I get your theory. Let's see your theory in practice. Everybody's full of diseases, and there's no cure with your theory. Now, with our theory, damn, everybody's getting cured of your diseases. Strange. Yeah, so that's where you got them. Is the actual theory in practice. You can't get no better than that. People are doing just what this man is saying. They're eating acid-ash foods, and take a look at what's happening to their bodies. And the proof is, and yes, we can lay claim and proof that an alkaline ash diet cures those conditions created by acid ash diets. And when he gets into what about acidity and cancer, I didn't even read it. I don't waste my time. Don't waste your time with these jokers. They don't know what causes anything. They're just reflecting medical thinking, which, take a look at the medical world. How many cures you got there? In anything. Contrary to popular belief, high-protein diets, acid-forming, are actually linked with healthier bones. Nah, I don't care what. He cites 3 sites. Lying. This is not true. High-protein diets are linked with osteoporosis, big time. Very easy to understand why. Not just from the acid factors, but from the phosphorus factors. You have to understand phosphorus is the little brother in chemistry, not the big brother. And you start having high phosphorus diets, bye-bye calcium, the natural process of proper family pHs. This area of research is not definite by any means, but it does suggest that animal protein, the most acidic forming food of all, is actually beneficial for bone health. Right. That is you saying that you're saying that I'm a meat eater, Joe's a meat eater, and he wants to keep eating meat, so he wants to explain why it's good for you. That's what that is. Looking at clinical trials, real science. You want to look at real science, Joe? Then why don't you start looking at some of the universities that have real science? Medical science can't seem to be duplicated by a lot of universities for some reason. That's interesting, because if it's science, you can duplicate it every time. And we're not ignorant people here. We're biochemistry professors, anatomy, physics. Are you calling us ignorant? That might get you a little bit of a problem there, man. It's unbelievable. Real science. Many large reviews have concluded that acid-forming diets have no impact on calcium levels in the body. You are wrong. And those are studies bought and paid for. Those are not good studies at all. There's more studies showing the calcium buffering systems and the other problems. So, you're wrong, bro. But, the proof is in the final analysis. All right? When you get this level of ignorance that's out there, and they're standing up for theories that obviously man's suffering with. And this is just another person out there creating more illusions and more fear amongst people and confusion amongst people with these diets. But your theories must, in application, must hold what you're talking about, Joe. You can't just sit out there and spouse what you think without you backing it up. Not in labs. I want you to work on real people. Joe doesn't know what it is to cure anybody of anything. That's obvious. So, Joe, I want you to show us your theory in actuality, and we'll show you our tens of thousands of people worldwide curing all the things that you say that can't be. So I love you guys. Sorry about that one, but these people like Joe just need to get a little bit more awake. And they're part of the problem, not part of the solution.